content creator for Elevate, and today I'm going to be going over a quick tutorial video on how to use C4s in Rainbow Six Siege. This video is definitely directed towards newer players, but even some more experienced players might get some tips that they somehow didn't learn over the course of their playing time. So there's 12 operators with C4s, and on most of these operators you're going to use a C4 because while there's 2 secondary gadgets that you can choose from, unless the other one has a specific purpose on the operator you're using, it's definitely recommended to use C4, especially with some of them. So the 12 operators are Mute, Pulse, Capcan, Bandit, Valkyrie, Warden, Mozzie, Cade, Mira, as well as Goyo, Malusi, and Thunderbird. So those are the 12, and on pretty much all those operators you're going to want to use a C4. The one that I can see you maybe not wanting to use a C4 is maybe so first I want to go over some good operator pairings. Pulse actually has a C4 as well as Valkyrie, and these are 2 great operators to bring when you have C4, or to bring C4 when you have the operator. Just information ops in general, so Maestro is very good, Echo is very good, and even sometimes you can pair a bulletproof camera on another operator with a C4 on another operator, and you can use that to get C4 kills either over a wall, through a floor, opening up a certain way, or, but there's a lot of uses for C4s, and that's what I want to cover. But those are 4 operators that are very good when you have a C4, and you can use the C4 in unique ways when you have those operators, because Pulse allows you to either sit below someone or even actually above someone to track them, and then use your C4 on Pulse to open up either a hole above them or to just get them through the floor. Same thing with Valkyrie. I'm sure in the short time you've played, you've at least been killed by one C4 to the floor by a Valkyrie. She's brought quite often because she's so powerful, and her having the C4 so she can do these tricks herself is pretty insane. Echo doesn't have a C4, but if you do have a C4, you can use the Echo drones to find a place to C4 for your teammate. And the same thing goes for Maestro, although he's certainly a little less useful and a little less easy to pair because he's more like a bulletproof camera, which can only be set in a certain spot, like in a site. So that's certainly pretty much the only time Maestro is useful for C4 kills. And I left out Mozzie because he is kind of situational, but if you do have a Mozzie drone, those Mozzie drones are very good to get C4 kills. Because they're so discreet, and an attacker doesn't think they're really that threatened if you can hide a Mozzie drone better than like a Valkyrie camera, or if you're pulse scanning below. A Mozzie drone is pretty inconspicuous, like it's not suspicious whatsoever if you're an attacker, to be honest. So Mozzie's good, but only if you actually get a drone and get it in a good spot. I also want to quickly go over some maps that C4s are better on. Some more experienced players might disagree with me on this, but I think there are maps where C4s are more impactful more often. For example, Villa, Border, Cafe, Chalet, Bank, and Consulate are the maps that really come to mind for me when I think of when C4s should be brought almost every single round. Bank is a little different than the others, and Bank is because you can use these C4s for plant denial, especially on the basement site. C4s become pretty impactful for denying the plant, and once again I'm going to show you all of these uses in this video. But for the other maps, Chalet, Cafe, Villa, Border, and Consulate, C4s are more powerful in how they can kill people through floors, and how a lot of the floors are destructible, where the attackers are often sitting inside. So I'm gonna start off by showing you plant denial on certain maps, especially like Bank, and that's where I'm gonna start off for showing the plant denial use case of C4s. So like I said in the previous section, I wanted to go over how C4s can be used to deny a plant. That ring is really annoying, so I'm gonna walk over here just to talk about it for a second. So on Bank especially, there's a very common plant spot, and this is how Bank attacks usually go. Attackers will clear the roam above on Bank. They're going to open up the hatches above site, like this one, the main site hatch, and they're going to end up opening this wall right here because this allows them to plant right here tucked, and you can't shoot them from here or like from here. There's a certain angle from there, but we're just going to ignore that for now. We're going to talk about the actual just killing the planter aspect and the plant denial aspect. So as an attacker goes for a plant here, they are protected from bullets here, but they're not protected from C4s if done properly. So a couple tricks you can do is the first one is actually just baiting the C4 sound, because as a player is like even up to level maybe 100, they get used to hearing the rip of C4. It sounds like this. And when they hear that as an attacker, they're going to start to run away. At least most are. The more experienced players are. So if you just rip the sound by clicking the key, you can cancel it by just clicking 1 or clicking back to your main gun or your secondary weapon, whatever you want, and you can cancel the throw. You don't have to throw it or even like throw it and then pick it up. You can just cancel the animation, but this sound bait will often get attackers to get off of it. But if you know that they're going to stick it because they're running out of time or they just need to go for it, you're going to want to always throw with momentum. So you don't want to just do this. You don't want to just do this and then just like always try to throw it without moving whatsoever, because sometimes it might not land. In this case it did because this is a shorter throw, but on some Plantiniles you're going to have to put some movement into it. And this is the case for a lot of C4 throws. The C4 is largely dependent on your movement. So if I'm throwing a C4 moving backwards, it's going to go only up to like, it's only going to go a few meters. If I throw a C4 without moving, it's going to go a little further. And then if I throw a C4 while moving and moving forward, it's going to go the furthest. And it actually gets some real distance when you do throw with momentum. So you want to try to throw with at least even a short bit of momentum. You don't have to throw a bunch into it, but you can just move a little bit as you peek. So like this, for example. It'll make sure the C4 gets there, it'll go further, and it'll pretty much guarantee that it kills them. For this throw specifically, you might not want to put that movement into it. But in a lot of throws, you're going to want to actually make sure that you have at least a little movement so you don't have the C4 throw go too short. And you especially don't want to be moving backwards. So that last use case was pretty common, and I want to just reinforce that that's not just on Bank, obviously. It happens on any map where attackers try to go for a plant. You can use C4, put some momentum into it, and throw it into such maybe a smoke or just a common plant spot that you don't want to expose your whole body to go kill the planter for. But moving on, this is a more common use case of C4s, is paired with utility and paired with, this could be Plantinile, but paired with, not utility, but sorry, like information. Most commonly, Valkyrie. So you're going to want to hide a Valcam somewhere in a room. I'm not even going to really try to hide it right now, but just somewhere up in a corner. Sometimes you don't even have to hide the Valkyrie camera if the attackers don't have time to look for a camera when they're in a room. So let's say this is the site. You can put a Valcam up here, and you're going to want to find yourself downstairs and position yourself in a way where you're below that camera. So this is the room that is below CEO, the room above there where the camera is. And what you can do is you can use a teammate, or you can do it by yourself. A dead teammate is most often the most helpful way. But let's say the attackers have opened these two site walls and they're going for a plant either on the bomb, at the dresser, or just in some plant spot where your teammates can't deny the plant. They could be all the way in conference over there, just far away. So you're below the attackers, and they're in some way in like a compromised situation where they can't be focusing on what's below them. They're just focused on what's in front of them and getting the plant down. So if your teammates give you a Z ping, which is very useful, it's literally just the Z key on your keyboard. It marks a spot using a camera. It was added somewhat recently into Siege. People complain about it because it's extremely powerful on cameras, especially Valkyrie cameras. So you'll Z-ping where you see the attacker. If they're just standing there and they don't seem to be moving, maybe they're on a camera or something, or if they're planting, you Z-ping it. Look for the Z-ping. It'll last longer than that. I waited. You can look around. It's going to be right here. And then if you just blow up that C4, it's going to be right in the spot where you Z-ping. And it may seem like super basic to more experienced players, but if you're a newer player, it's completely understandable how you didn't think of such a thing like that. So here we are in Cafe. This is similar to the last tip I just showed you, but pretty much what I'm going to be showing you is a pre-play C4 with a camera. It's almost the exact same thing, but it's a little bit more unique. This is a very common pre-play C4. It's under the new balcony. It's when the site is upstairs. You can pre-place the C4 right here. Move up the red stairs or just find a way back to site. And make sure you have some type of information here. It can be anything. You can have a Maestro cam here. You can have a Mozzie drone under here, for example. You can even have a pulse, or you can even have someone just calling out over here when they see some like an enemy on this new balcony, or they hear a drop on this new balcony. So any form of information to tell you that they're there. It doesn't have to be a camera. It can literally just be a call out from your teammate. And that C4 covers a huge range, because something that a lot of newer players don't understand about C4 is because it's not exactly intuitive, is how far the range is on the floor. It wasn't always like this, but let me blow it up to just show you really quick. The range on that C4 to where it can kill people is not just where the explosion is. If you're standing like right here as an attacker, you're gonna just immediately die from that C4 because the range is much further than the explosion radius itself. The actual death radius is pretty crazy, and even the damage radius can go all the way out to like here, for example. C4s are very explosive, especially through floors, and that's why I wanted to show you multiple ways that this can be done. But this Valkyrie camera, it's hidden in a light. It's probably not going to be seen because as attackers are in this shop area or on New Balk, they're not going to be looking for information. They're not going to be looking for small cameras. They're going to be making sure they don't die from a peek from here, from sight, from there. from as they're pushing up. They just don't want to die because they're looking for information as they came up and pushed. So that's why information is so good on a place like New Balcony, which is what this is right here, and that's the normal call out. So the point I wanted to make here is just C4s have a very wide range, and you can pre-place them if you know where the spot was, and you can use the Z-pings to help you pre-place C4s. One thing I wanted to cover a little more is how movement affects C4s. As I showed you on Bank when I was talking about plant denial, going forward and backward affects how far a C4 will go. And I just want to reiterate that even side movement affects where a C4 will go. So if you throw a C4 while moving to the left, it's going to move with you to the left a little bit more. That didn't show it exactly perfectly. But like if you throw a C4 standing right here, throwing it forward, it's going to land right there. But if I throw the C4 from that spot while I was moving, it's going to land right over here because it actually moves with you, essentially, while moving left to right. So just while you're throwing a C4, always factor in the fact that you're moving, or if you're not moving, factor in the fact that you're not moving. Just understand how important of a role the movement plays in your C4 throws, and also the height. So, like, if you throw a C4 looking at this height level, it's not going to go as far as if you threw it at this height level. And these seem like basic things, but if you haven't thrown a bunch of C4s and you're somewhat new to the game, once again, this is something why I could completely understand why you wouldn't understand it right away. So another way that C4s can be used in a unique way is paired with Pulse. So Pulse alone can pretty much get a Nitro Cell kill on a lot of rounds whenever there's vertical play, or places where attackers will be sitting on a soft floor. And the unique thing about Pulse is that unless attackers know you either have a Pulse or have droned out below themselves, there's absolutely no way they can know that the Pulse is below with scanning them, or if they have an IQ. So even if someone is above looking for cameras or whatever and wants to see or wants to make sure that they're not getting Nitro Cell, unless they take certain measures, there's no way for them to know that they're getting Pulse scanned and then ultimately Nitro Celled. So pretty much the way you do it, I can't show it without someone else, but you'll see a heartbeat through the floor like this. And if you notice that it's standing still, maybe they're on cameras, or maybe they're looking through a hole like over here and they're standing right here. You can throw a Nitro Cell when you see their heartbeat and just blow it up as soon as you can without actually also, killing yourself. It's very easy to do. It pretty much takes no skill whatsoever. And it's really easy to do on pretty much every single map that has soft floors. And there's another way that I want to show you how to use C4s other than just Pulse. So the last way C4s can be used are pretty much intuitively. So there's not really a specific last way I want to show you, but whenever you see that the attackers are starting to group up somewhere, or are in some way just in a place where you think you can C4 them. So let's say this is a very common rush where the attackers will open this door off the start of the round, they'll spray it open, they'll throw like 2 smokes, 3, 4 smokes deep, they'll throw flashes in, yings, Capital bolts, and they'll have a Montane plant right here. What you're going to want to do in this situation is you can't just throw a C4 and hope that's going to get them just anywhere. So like, if there's a Montane planting right here and you throw the C4 right here, it might get them, but in certain cases, it might actually just get deflected by the shield on his back. So you always want to get the C4 pretty much right onto the doorway, or as far as you can as possible, because that's where the shield won't be facing you. So don't be scared to get up to here when the smokes have just gone off. Don't be scared to go prone. Get as close as you can. Move forward while you're doing it, because movement, even when prone, affects the C4 throw, and get it as far as you can. And also, speaking of special use cases, there's one C4 use that is kind of unique to how I like to use them, but I think is pretty good. A lot of the times on this site specifically, I'll see a Hookah Repeller, maybe even an OSA now, which C4s are good to use against, by the way, to blow up an OSA shield. But you might see a Repeller who's holding an angle from the right side of this window. But what you can do is walk away to hide the C4 rip. That's a tip that I didn't actually say before. But if you keep your range before you do a C4 throw, you can rip the C4 and the attackers aren't going to hear you ripping the tape, like off the C4, this sound. So if you walk away, and then you walk up to this window, and you know that the attacker's just holding an angle from the right side of the window, it doesn't have an angle on you, or if there's a rotate here, you can walk through the rotate or through the door, which is a little more dangerous. And if an attacker's on rappel, and you do this, and you throw the C4 right on the side of the window, right there, just like I did, and then blow it up, this attacker, if they're anywhere close along this side of the window, they're going to die to that C4, and they're not going to have any idea what hit them, because there's no time to react or get away from a C4 like that. So C4s on Windows against repellers are very powerful, and I just wanted to make sure that you understand that, because repels are very strongly countered by C4s if you throw a good C4.